The woman everyone thought was strong. At exactly 5:12 every morning, Sarah Mitchell woke up before the sun. Not because she wanted to. Because after years of doing it, her body no longer asked permission. 40 years old. Divorced. One teenage son. A small two-bedroom house on a quiet street in Ohio where winter winds rattled old windows and memories lived longer than people did. Sarah sat up slowly in bed. Darkness still covered the room. The digital clock beside her glowed red. 5:12 a.m. Again. For a moment she stayed still. The silence always felt heavier before sunrise. Heavy enough to hear old thoughts. Heavy enough to remember things she tried very hard to forget. She reached toward the nightstand. Phone. No messages. No missed calls. Nothing unusual. That was normal. Her life had become normal years ago. Predictable. Safe. Quiet. Too quiet. She stood carefully and walked toward the bathroom. The mirror greeted her honestly. 40 years old. Soft lines beside her eyes. Dark circles beneath them. Brown hair pulled into a loose knot. Beautiful once. Beautiful now too. Just differently. Older. Tired. Stronger. People always told her she looked strong. Strong women hear that word too often. As if strength means you don't get lonely. As if strength means you don't break. As if surviving means living. Sarah splashed cold water across her face. Another day. Another 12-hour hospital shift. Another 100 smiles she would give people who believed nurses never carried pain of their own. Downstairs, the coffee machine hummed softly. The kitchen lights flickered alive. Quiet house. Empty house. Her son, Noah, still slept upstairs. 16 years old. Tall. Quiet like his mother. Good grades. Good heart. Too mature for his age. Life had forced both of them to grow faster than they should have. Sarah poured coffee into her favorite blue mug. Cracked near the handle. Still usable. She kept meaning to replace it. Never did. Funny how people hold on to broken things. The television stayed off. News made mornings feel heavier. Instead she stood near the kitchen window. Outside, cold October rain covered the street. Streetlights reflected against wet pavement. Everything looked lonely in rain. Cars. Houses. People. Especially people. Her eyes drifted toward the framed photo sitting near the refrigerator. Noah. Age 10. Missing front tooth. Laughing. Beside him. Daniel. Her ex-husband. For years she told herself she kept the picture because Noah deserved memories. Maybe that was true. Maybe not. Daniel had left 6 years ago. Not because of fighting. Not because they hated each other. Sometimes love disappears quietly. Like air leaking slowly from a tire. You don't notice immediately. Then one day you realize you're stranded. 20 years together. Gone. Just like that. People asked what happened. Sarah always answered politely. Life happened. Truth felt harder. Truth meant admitting two people can love each other and still fail. Truth meant accepting that sometimes nobody is the villain. Just two tired people slowly becoming strangers. Footsteps echoed upstairs. Noah. Right on schedule. A minute later he walked into the kitchen. 6 feet tall already. Messy dark hair. Half asleep. Hungry? Sarah asked. Always. She smiled. Shocking. Cereal. Toast. Orange juice. Normal things. Safe things. Big math test today, she asked. Yeah. You studied? Mom. That's not an answer. He laughed quietly. I studied. Good. Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable. Just familiar. Noah looked at her carefully. You okay? Sarah blinked. What? You seem tired. I'm always tired. More than normal. She forced a smile. I'm okay. Children notice more than parents realize. Especially children who grow up watching adults pretend. Noah nodded slowly. He didn't believe her. He never did. By 6:30 a.m., they left together. Rain continued falling. Cold. Grey. Relentless. Sarah drove an old silver SUV toward school first. Noah stared quietly out the window. Music played softly. A song Sarah remembered from years ago. College. Youth. Dreams. Funny how songs can reopen rooms inside your heart. Mom. Yeah. You ever regret stuff? Question came suddenly. What kind of stuff? I don't know. He stared outside. Life stuff. Sarah tightened her hands around the steering wheel. Everybody regrets things. What do you regret? She hesitated. Long enough for him to notice. Not important. Mom. She smiled weakly. Maybe someday I'll tell you. Maybe someday. Adults say that when they aren't ready. Or when they know they never will be. School appeared ahead. Cars. Students. Morning chaos. Normal life. Noah grabbed his backpack. Love you. Love you too. He opened the door. Then paused. You should smile more. Sarah laughed softly. Go to school. Door closed. He disappeared into the crowd. And suddenly. Silence. Again. The hospital sat 20 minutes away. Large building. Bright lights. Controlled chaos. Sarah worked emergency care. 12 years now. Long enough to understand life changes instantly. Long enough to know nothing lasts forever. Patients arrived. Accidents. Illness. Fear. Pain. Loss. Sarah moved through the day professionally. Efficient. Focused. Kind. People trusted her immediately. She had that face. Calm. Safe. Steady. Around noon, another nurse approached. Emily. 32. Married. 2 small children. Constant energy. Sarah. Yeah. You seeing anybody yet? Sarah sighed immediately. No. Still. Emily. What? You ask every week. Because you're 40, not 90. I'm working. You work too much. I'm literally at work. Emily laughed. Seriously though. No. Why? Sarah adjusted patient charts. No time. Bad excuse. No interest. Worse excuse. Sarah smiled despite herself. Emily lowered her voice. When was your last date? Emily. Sarah. No. 5 years. No. 10. No. Emily stared. Oh my God. Stop. Oh my God. Sarah laughed quietly. People don't expire at 40. I know. Then act like it. Sarah shook her head. Work rescued her before the conversation continued. Hours blurred together. Until evening. 6:47 p.m. Shift over. Exhaustion settling deep into bones. She walked toward the parking lot. Rain had stopped. Cold air replaced it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello. Silence. Then. Sarah. Her breathing stopped. A man's voice. Older. Familiar. Impossible. Her fingers tightened around the phone. No. No way. Who's this? She whispered. Silence. Then quietly. It's Ethan. Everything around her disappeared. Cars. Hospital. Cold air. Time itself. 20 years. Gone. One voice. One name. One person she thought she'd never hear again. And suddenly. Nothing felt normal anymore. Sarah Mitchell was 20 years old the first time she saw Ethan Cole. And for years afterward, she would remember that exact moment with painful clarity. Not because it felt magical. Not because music suddenly played in the background like movies promised. Because life-changing moments rarely announce themselves. They arrive quietly. Ordinary. Invisible. Until years later. It was September. Late afternoon. The kind of warm Ohio autumn day that made people believe summer might stay forever. Sarah sat outside the university library. Books open. Coffee getting cold beside her. Psychology notes spread across the table. Her future planned carefully. College. Graduate school. Career. Marriage someday. Children maybe. A safe life. A predictable life. Sarah liked plans. Plans felt secure. Life felt controllable when you planned enough. Excuse me. She looked up. A guy stood beside her table. Tall. Dark hair slightly messy. Grey hoodie. Worn jeans. Guitar case hanging over one shoulder. Blue eyes. The kind that looked directly at people. Not through them. At them. Yeah. Sarah asked. Can I borrow this chair? She glanced around. Nearly 20 empty chairs nearby. That one specifically? He smiled. Maybe. Sarah narrowed her eyes. That's a terrible answer. I know. You could have picked literally any chair. True. Then why this one? He looked at her notes. Psychology. Yes. Interesting. No, it isn't. Sure it is. No. You always argue with strangers. You always bother strangers. A grin spread across his face. Only interesting ones. Sarah stared at him. Annoying. Confident. Dangerously charming. Exactly the kind of person she'd normally avoid. I'm Ethan, he said. Okay. He waited. She looked back down at her notes. Nothing. No name, he asked. No. You have one though? Probably. He laughed. Actually laughed. Like nobody had told him adulthood required seriousness. Sarah, she said finally. Sarah. The way he said her name felt strange. Careful. Like he wanted to remember it. I'm studying, she said. Obviously. So I'll leave. Good. One question. No. You didn't hear it. No. You always this difficult. Yes. Coffee tomorrow? No. Friday? No. Saturday? No. He nodded slowly. Sunday? She fought a smile. Almost one. Almost. No. Okay. He picked up the chair. Started walking away. 5 steps. 10 steps. Then. Library cafe, she said quietly. He turned. What? Tomorrow. His smile appeared slowly. Warm. Victorious. Dangerous. 4 o'clock, he asked. You're annoying. 4. Fine. See you tomorrow, Sarah. And then he left. Simple. Ordinary. One conversation. One decision. One tiny moment. The kind people never realize they're going to remember forever. The next day Sarah arrived 6 minutes late. On purpose. She wasn't sure why. Control maybe. Pride. Fear. Ethan sat near the window. Already there. Coffee untouched. Notebook open. Guitar leaning beside his chair. You came, he said. Don't sound surprised. You look surprised. I'm not. You are. I'm not. You keep doing that. Doing what? Arguing. I'm not arguing. Exactly. She laughed. Actually laughed. Which annoyed her immediately. You play guitar? She asked. Little bit. Little bit. Okay. He smiled. A lot. You in music school? No. Then why? Because I love it. Simple answer. Simple answers felt dangerous too. What about you? He asked. What about me? What do you love? Sarah stared at her coffee. Nobody asked questions like that anymore. Not real questions. I don't know. Sure you do. No. You've just forgotten. Something inside her shifted. Slightly. Small enough to ignore. Big enough to matter. They talked for 3 hours. Music. Books. Childhood stories. Dreams. Fear. Life. Sarah learned Ethan worked nights at a restaurant. Played music anywhere people would listen. Wanted to travel America. Write songs. See mountains. Ocean sunsets. Small towns. Big cities. Everything. You don't want stability? Sarah asked. Eventually. Eventually? Yeah. What if it doesn't work? What if it does? She hated answers like that. Because secretly, part of her loved them. Weeks became months. Sarah and Ethan became inseparable. Movie nights, long drives, cheap diners, campus walks at midnight, conversations that stretched until sunrise. For the first time in years, Sarah stopped planning every second, stopped controlling everything, stopped surviving, started living. "You know what your problem is?" Ethan asked one night. They sat on the hood of his old truck. Stars above them. Cold November air. "I don't have problems. You have many." "No. Sarah." "What?" "You're afraid." "I'm not afraid." "You're terrified." "Of what?" "Life." She laughed quietly. "No. You think if you plan enough nothing bad can happen. Planning matters. Living matters more." Easy for him to say. Ethan moved through life like someone who trusted the universe. Sarah moved through life like someone preparing for disaster. Opposites. Completely. Perfectly. Dangerously. "You know what I think?" Ethan asked. "What?" "I think one day you'll wake up." "What does that mean?" "I think one day you'll realize safe isn't the same thing as happy." She looked away. Because somehow, he already knew her too well. December arrived. Snow-covered Ohio. Christmas lights filled quiet neighborhoods. And for the first time in years, Sarah felt happy. Really happy. Not performing happiness. Not surviving. Living. She hated how much she needed him. Hated how much one person could matter. Because somewhere deep inside, Sarah already understood something terrifying. People who matter can leave. And when they leave, they take pieces of you with them. She didn't know it yet. But life was already moving toward the moment that would change everything. And neither of them were ready. Winter settled over Ohio slowly. Snow-covered rooftops. Wind pushed through quiet streets. Christmas lights disappeared one by one. And life kept moving. Sarah Mitchell hated how fast happiness could become routine. 3 months. That was how long Ethan Cole had been in her life. 3 months of late-night conversations. 3 months of coffee dates that lasted hours. 3 months of feeling like she had finally found someone who understood the parts of her she never showed anyone else. 20 years old. Young enough to believe love could fix everything. Old enough to know life usually didn't work that way. "You're thinking too much." Sarah looked up. Ethan sat across from her inside a small diner near campus. Snow drifted outside the window. Half-eaten fries sat forgotten between them. "I'm studying," Sarah said. "No. I am." "You're pretending to study." "I'm not pretending." "Sarah." "What?" "You've read the same page 4 times." She closed the textbook. "I hate psychology statistics." "You hate not being perfect." "I'm not trying to be perfect." "You're trying to control everything." "I'm trying to build a future." "You already have a future." "No. I mean it." Ethan leaned forward. "You think happiness happens after you achieve enough things. That's not true. You think once you get the degree, get the job, get the house, get life perfect, then you'll finally let yourself breathe." Sarah stared at him. Because part of her hated hearing truth out loud. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "Then explain." She hesitated. People saw Sarah Mitchell as calm, strong, responsible. Nobody saw what responsibility had cost her. "My dad lost his job when I was 15, she said softly. Ethan stayed quiet. Listening. Really listening. "Mom worked 2 jobs. Sarah looked down at her coffee. "I watched them struggle every day. Bills. Stress. Fear. Constant fear. We almost lost our house." The words felt strange leaving her mouth. Heavy. Old. Pain she usually carried alone. "I promised myself something back then." "What?" Ethan asked quietly. "That I'd never live like that." Ethan didn't answer immediately. Snow continued falling outside. Cars moved slowly through icy streets. "I get it," he said finally. "No you don't." "I do." "No. Sarah." "No." Her voice came sharper than she intended. People nearby glanced over. She lowered her voice. You don't know what it's like. What? Being responsible for everything. I'm not irresponsible. I didn't say that. You meant it. No. Yes. Silence. Heavy silence. Dangerous silence. The kind relationships remember. Ethan leaned back, crossing his arms. You think because I play music I don't take life seriously? No. You think I don't worry about bills? I didn't say that. You don't have to. Sarah stared down. Because maybe she had. Music matters to me, Ethan said quietly. I know. No. His voice softened. You hear me. He tapped the table gently. You don't understand me. Something inside her tightened. Fear. Guilt. Love. All mixed together. I understand, she whispered. Do you? She wanted to say yes. Couldn't. Because maybe she didn't. Not completely. Not yet. 3 days later. Everything changed. Sarah arrived home after class. Their small house sat unusually quiet. No television. No music. No smell of dinner. Wrong. Everything felt wrong. Mom, she called. Nothing. Dad. Silence. Fear arrived instantly. Fast. Cold. Sharp. She found her mother sitting alone in the kitchen. Crying. Sarah stopped moving. No. 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 What happened? Her mother looked up. Eyes red. Face pale. Mom. It's your father. Hospital. Heart attack. Words blurred together. Sarah barely remembered driving. Barely remembered arriving. Machines. Bright lights. Doctors speaking carefully. Carefully meant bad. Always. Her father survived. But barely. Recovery would take months. Maybe longer. No work. Medical bills. Stress. Fear. Again. Just like years before. Only worse. Much worse. Sarah sat beside her father's hospital bed that night. Watching machines breathe quietly. Watching someone who once seemed invincible suddenly look fragile. Human. Small. Sarah. She looked up. Her father's voice weak. Barely above a whisper. Hey. You should go home. No. I'm okay. No. Small smile. Even now. Still protecting people. Always protecting people. You'll miss class. I don't care. You should. Dad. Your future matters. Tears filled her eyes instantly. No. Yes. No. You worked too hard. His voice cracked. Promise me. Dad. Promise. She nodded slowly. Because parents have a way of making promises feel permanent. Even when life doesn't. Weeks passed. Hospital visits. Class. Work. Sleep. Repeat. 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 Ethan tried. God. He tried. Coffee delivered during study nights. Hospital visits. Long drives. Quiet support. Patience. Love. But stress changes people. Especially people already carrying too much. You need sleep, Ethan said one night. I have things to do. You've slept 4 hours. I'm fine. No. I'm fine. Sarah. What? Talk to me. About what? About anything. I'm busy. No. His voice softened. You're hurting. No. You are. No. Sarah. I said no. Silence. Again. Dangerous silence. You don't have to carry everything alone, Ethan said quietly. I know. No. He stepped closer. You say that. But you don't believe it. Something inside her cracked. You think I want this, she whispered. No. You think I enjoy feeling like everything depends on me? I didn't say that. My mom needs help. I know. My dad can't work. I know. I can't just disappear and pretend life is beautiful. I know. The words hit harder than he intended. Both froze. Instant regret. Instant pain. Sarah stepped backward. Ethan closed his eyes. I'm sorry. Silence. I'm sorry, he whispered again. But sometimes apologies arrive after damage. And damage grows quietly, invisible. Until one day, you realize love isn't the only thing keeping people together. And for the first time, Sarah wondered if love alone would be enough. Spring arrived slowly. Ohio winters never left quietly. Snow melted. Trees turned green again. People smiled more, walked slower, opened windows, started believing hard things were finally over. Sarah Mitchell learned life didn't work that way. Her father recovered. Slowly, carefully. But recovery created new problems. Medical bills stacked higher every month. Her mother picked up extra shifts. Sarah took another part-time job. Morning classes, afternoon work, hospital visits, late-night studying. Sleep became optional. Exhaustion became normal. Ethan noticed. Of course he noticed. "You look tired," he said quietly. "I'm okay." "You always say that." "Because it's true." "No." They sat outside campus. Warm April sunlight. Students laughing nearby. Life moving normally. Like hers wasn't quietly falling apart. "I can handle it," Sarah said. "I know." "Then stop worrying." "I can't." She looked away. Because his concern felt heavy now. Not comforting. Heavy. Like one more thing needing energy she no longer had. Ethan leaned back. "I got offered something." Sarah looked at him. "What?" "A music producer in Nashville heard one of my recordings." Her chest tightened slightly. "Oh. He wants me to come down." "When?" "Summer." Silence. Wind moved softly through trees. "Summer. Nashville. Far. Very far." "That's good," Sarah said. "Yeah. You should go." "You think so?" "Of course." He studied her face carefully. Too carefully. "You don't sound excited." "I am." "No. I said I am." "Sarah." "What?" "Talk to me." "I am talking." "No." He leaned forward. "You're disappearing." "I'm sitting right here." "You know what I mean." "No." She knew. That scared her. Because maybe she was disappearing. Little by little. Responsibility had become oxygen. Survival had become identity. Dreams felt childish now. Dangerous. Expensive. "How long?" she asked quietly. "What?" "Nashville." 6 months maybe. 6 months. Her mind immediately calculated distance. Money. Time. Reality. Love. 6 months. Long enough for people to change. Long enough for life to happen. Long enough to lose someone. "You should go," she repeated. He stayed silent. Watching her. Waiting. For honesty. She couldn't give it. Not yet. Weeks passed. Summer approached. And something invisible settled between them. Not anger. Not hate. Distance. The quiet kind. The dangerous kind. Missed calls. Shorter conversations. Less laughter. Less everything. Love rarely breaks loudly. It fades. Small pieces at a time. Until one day, you realize something important disappeared. And you don't remember exactly when. One night Ethan knocked on her door. 10:43 p.m. Sarah opened it. Immediately knew something was wrong. "What happened?" "Can we drive?" "Ethan. Please." 20 minutes later. They sat near a lake outside town. Dark water. Summer air. Silence. Dangerous silence. "I leave in 3 weeks," he said quietly. Sarah nodded. Okay. What do you want me to say?" "I don't know." Silence. Again. "You could come." Her breathing stopped. "What?" "Come with me." "No." "Why not?" "Ethan." "Why not?" "Because I have responsibilities." "So do I." "My family needs me." "I know. My life is here." "Sarah." "No." His voice sharpened. "Stop acting like choosing yourself is selfish." "I'm not choosing myself." "Exactly." Pain crossed his face instantly. Real pain. Raw. Human. You keep sacrificing everything, he whispered. No. Your happiness. No. Your dreams. No. Us. Silence. Cold. Heavy. Terrifying. We're okay, Sarah said quietly. No. We are. No. Fear rose instantly. Fast. Sharp. Like falling. We're okay, she repeated. You don't even see it. See what? You stopped living. No. Sarah. Tears filled her eyes immediately. No. I miss you. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Because somehow. He was right. Even standing beside him. Part of her had disappeared. You think Nashville changes everything, she whispered. No. Then what? Nothing changes. His voice cracked slightly. That's what scares me. 3 weeks later. Union Station. Rain covered the city. Grey sky. Crowded platform. People saying goodbye. People saying hello. Life moving forward. Sarah stood beside Ethan. Heart beating strangely. Wrong. Everything felt wrong. Train announcements echoed overhead. Final boarding. Final call. Final chance. You can still come. His voice quiet. Hopeful. Dangerous. She looked down. Hands shaking. I can't. Can't. No. Or won't. Tears filled her eyes immediately. Ethan. I waited. I know. I understood. I know. I tried. I know. Sarah. His voice broke. Small. Human. Painfully human. I love you. Her entire body froze. Because somehow. Hearing it now hurt more. Not less. I love you too. Truth. Complete truth. Maybe that made it worse. Then come. She couldn't. God. She wanted to. More than anything. But fear felt stronger. Responsibility felt louder. Reality felt heavier. I'm sorry. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Train doors opened. Time moved forward. Life moved forward. People moved forward. Except Sarah. She stood perfectly still. Watching the man she loved pick up his guitar. Pick up his bag. Walk away. 20 feet. 30 feet. 40. Then suddenly. He turned. One last time. Rain falling. Distance growing. Pain becoming permanent. And somehow. She already knew. Life was splitting into 2 versions. The life she chose. And the life she didn't. Train doors closed. Engine moved. Slowly. Then faster. Then gone. Completely gone. Sarah stood alone. Rain soaking through her clothes. Heart breaking quietly. Invisible. The way hearts usually break. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. So quietly. Sometimes people spend years pretending it never happened. But pain remembered. Pain always remembered. And Sarah Mitchell would carry this goodbye much longer than she realized. People think heartbreak changes you immediately. Like lightning. One moment you are one person. The next moment. Someone new. Sarah Mitchell learned heartbreak moved differently. Slower. Quieter. Like winter. It arrived gradually. So slowly you almost believed you were okay. Until one day. You realized warmth had disappeared months ago. 21 years old. College graduation approaching. Life moving forward. Or at least. Pretending to. 6 months after Ethan left for Nashville. Sarah stopped checking her phone every night. Stopped rereading old messages. Stopped driving past places that remembered him. Or maybe. She simply got better at lying to herself. Her father recovered enough to work part-time. Medical bills remained. Stress remained. Reality remained. Dreams felt smaller now. Safer. Practical. She finished college. Graduated near the top of her class. Family cheering loudly. Mother crying. Father smiling proudly. People told her how bright her future looked. She smiled. Said thank you. Played her role perfectly. Nobody noticed something important. Success felt strangely empty when you reached it alone. 2 years later, Sarah met Daniel Mitchell, 27 years old. Financial consultant. Steady. Reliable. Kind. The kind of man parents loved immediately. The kind of man life approved of. No chaos. No uncertainty. No impossible dreams. Safe. Comfortable. Predictable. After Ethan. Predictable felt beautiful. Daniel brought flowers. Remembered birthdays. Held doors open. Answered texts. Called when he said he would. Consistency. Stability. Peace. Things Sarah once believed mattered most. You deserve someone who makes life easier, her mother told her. Daniel made life easier. He truly did. And maybe, after enough hard years, easy felt like love. Or close enough. Do you love him? Sarah froze. Her friend Mia sat beside her at a coffee shop. Engagement ring sparkling beneath afternoon sunlight. Daniel had proposed 2 weeks earlier. Everyone celebrated. Everyone smiled. Everyone assumed. I do, Sarah answered quietly. Mia studied her carefully. You hesitated. No, I didn't. You did. I'm tired. No. Mia leaned forward slightly. What are you scared of? Nothing. Sarah. What? You look like someone trying to convince herself. I love him. Truth. Mostly. Love looked different now. Quieter. Calmer. Safer. Adult love. Responsible love. Not dangerous. Not terrifying. Not the kind that asked impossible things. And maybe. That was better. Maybe. Sarah married Daniel 3 months before turning 25. Small ceremony. Family. Friends. Summer sunshine. Smiles. Photographs. Promises. Forever. People always believe forever while saying forever. Life teaches differently. Marriage felt good at first. Peaceful. Normal. Steady. Daniel worked long hours. Sarah entered nursing school. Busy lives. Shared dreams. Shared responsibilities. Real life. Adult life. The kind Sarah always planned carefully. Then. Noah arrived. Unexpected. Beautiful. Terrifying. Perfect. Sarah held him for the first time. Tiny fingers. Small breaths. New life. And suddenly, everything changed. Nothing mattered more. Nothing ever would again. Daniel cried holding his son. Actually cried. Sarah remembered thinking, This is happiness. Real happiness. Not excitement. Not dreams. Not impossible love stories. This. Family. Home. Safety. Life. Years passed quickly after Noah. School events. Work shifts. Soccer practices. Birthdays. Family dinners. Mortgage payments. Laundry. Groceries. Ordinary life. Beautiful life. Exhausting life. Sarah became excellent at caring for people. Patience. Husband. Son. Parents. Everyone. Everyone except herself. But mothers learn that early. Needs become negotiable. Sacrifice becomes normal. Love becomes giving pieces away willingly. Until one day, you realize how much disappeared. Mom. Sarah blinked. Noah stood beside her. 8 years old. Gap-toothed smile. Bright eyes. You okay? She smiled softly. Of course. You look sad. I'm tired. You always say tired. Children notice things. Always. Daniel noticed too. Eventually. You're working too much, he told her one night. We need money. We need you too. I'm here. No. His voice stayed gentle. You're surviving. Familiar words. Dangerous words. Words she'd heard before. Years ago. From someone else. Someone she hadn't thought about in a very long time. Or maybe. Someone she thought about too often. You okay? Daniel asked quietly. Yeah. No. Not really. But Sarah didn't know why. Because life looked good. Healthy son. Stable marriage. Career. Home. Everything she fought for. Everything she planned. So why? Why did something still feel missing? Small things changed first. Daniel worked later. Conversations became shorter. Laughter became rarer. Not because they stopped loving each other. Because life became louder. Stress. Schedules. Responsibilities. Exhaustion. People assume love disappears dramatically. Affairs. Betrayal. Fighting. Sometimes. Other times. People simply drift. Quietly. Painfully. Until strangers exist where soulmates once stood. Do you think we're okay? Sarah asked one night. Daniel looked up from his laptop. What? Us? He smiled softly. Of course. Really? Sarah. What? We're fine. Fine. Dangerous word. Relationships don't survive on fine. They survive on effort. Attention. Time. Things life slowly steals. Noah turned 10. Sarah turned 34. Daniel turned 36. And one rainy October night. Everything changed. Not loudly. Quietly. The worst changes usually happen quietly. I think we need to talk. Daniel's voice. Kitchen table. 9:41 p.m. Rain outside. Fear instantly arriving. Cold. Sharp. Familiar. What happened? Sarah whispered. Daniel looked tired. Older somehow. Sad. Too sad. I'm not happy. 4 words. Simple. Devastating. Silence. Cold silence. What? I'm trying. What? I've been trying. What are you saying? Pain crossed his face immediately. Real pain. Human pain. Not cruelty. Not anger. Pain. I think we lost each other. No. 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 Not this. Not now. Not after everything. We can fix it. Sarah. We can. I don't know. Fear became panic. Panic became heartbreak. Heartbreak became silence. Because somehow, deep down, she already knew. He wasn't wrong. Somewhere along the way, they stopped choosing each other. And now, they didn't know how to return. Or if they even could. People imagine divorce as shouting. Broken plates. Closed doors. Cruel words that leave scars forever. Sarah Mitchell learned heartbreak could arrive much quieter than that. Sometimes love doesn't explode. Sometimes. It slowly runs out of air. Like a tire losing pressure. You keep driving. Keep moving. Convincing yourself everything feels normal. Until one day, you realize you've been broken down for miles. Maybe we should try counseling. Sarah said it softly. Carefully. Like speaking too loudly might make things more real. Daniel sat across from her at the kitchen table. Coffee untouched. Cold. Neither of them had slept much. Not after last night. Not after. I'm not happy. 4 words. Still echoing. Still hurting. I'm willing to try, Sarah whispered. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Looking tired. Exhausted. Not angry. That somehow made it worse. I think we waited too long, he said quietly. No. Sarah. No. Tears burned instantly. Fast. Sharp. Terrifying. We can fix this. Silence. Dangerous silence. We can, she repeated. Daniel looked down. Not at her. Never a good sign. People stop looking at each other before they leave. Long before. We stopped talking, he said softly. We're talking now. No. We are. No. His voice cracked slightly. We stopped seeing each other. I'm right here. No. The words hit harder than they should have. Because part of her already knew. He wasn't wrong. Work. School schedules. Bills. Responsibilities. Years passed. Life became management. Tasks. Lists. Survival. Love slowly moved into the background. Not intentionally. Quietly. Dangerously. I miss you, Daniel whispered. 3 words. Simple. Familiar. Painfully familiar. Because someone else, long ago, had once said those exact words. And she remembered. God. She remembered. They tried counseling. 3 months. Wednesday evenings. Small office. Soft lighting. A therapist asking difficult questions. Questions neither wanted to answer. When did things change? We don't know. When did you stop feeling connected? We don't know. What do you need from each other? Silence. Always silence. The therapist noticed. Of course she noticed. You both seem exhausted, she said gently. We are, Sarah admitted. Exhausted people stop reaching. Daniel looked down. Sarah looked away. Truth hurt. Especially when spoken calmly. One evening Noah walked quietly into the living room. 11 years old. Homework in his hands. Too observant. Too careful. Children notice tension long before adults admit it exists. Mom. Yeah. You and Dad okay? Sarah froze. Fear instantly arriving. What? You guys seem sad. No. You do. Daniel looked toward her. Pain passing silently between them. No child should have to ask questions like that. No child should learn this young. That adults break too. We're okay, Sarah whispered. Lie. Small. Necessary. Painful. Noah nodded. Pretending to believe her. Children learn pretending from parents. 6 months later. Daniel moved out. Not dramatically. Quietly. Boxes. Clothes. Books. 1 truck. 1 rainy Saturday. 1 life splitting into 2. No screaming. No betrayal. No affair. No villain. Just 2 people who loved each other once. And somehow lost their way. You'll still come to Noah's games? Sarah asked quietly. Always. You promise? Always. She nodded. Hands shaking slightly. Heart breaking quietly. Again. Strange. How pain changes shape. 20 years old. Love leaving felt like losing oxygen. 34. Love leaving felt like losing home. Daniel picked up the final box. Looked toward her. I'm sorry. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Me too. Truth. Complete truth. Because heartbreak becomes heavier when nobody did anything wrong. The divorce finalized 8 months later. Paperwork. Signatures. Legal language reducing years into documents. Marriage. Finished. 20 years together. Gone. Just like that. People said strange things afterward. You're strong. You'll be okay. Everything happens for a reason. Sarah hated that one most. Everything happens for a reason. No. Sometimes painful things happen because life is messy. People are human. Love needs attention. And sometimes good people still lose each other. 35 years old. Single mother. Nurse. Responsible. Strong. Always strong. People loved telling her that. Strong. 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 As if strength erased loneliness. As if strength removed pain. As if surviving meant healing. It didn't. 3 years later. Life settled into routine. Work. Home. Noah. Bills. Repeat. 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 The rhythm of survival. Safe. Predictable. Quiet. Too quiet. Sarah stopped dating. Emily from work kept trying. No. Sarah. No. You're 38. I know. Life isn't over. I know. Then act like it. Familiar words. Dangerous words. Because somewhere deep down, Sarah feared something she never said aloud. Not loneliness. Not heartbreak. Something worse. That maybe. This was it. Maybe life had already happened. Maybe the best parts belonged to younger versions of herself. 20-year-old Sarah. The girl who laughed easier. Dreamed bigger. Loved harder. The girl who once stood in rain. Watching a train disappear. The girl she stopped recognizing years ago. She didn't realize it yet. But life was quietly preparing something. A memory. A letter. A name from long ago. And soon, everything she buried would return. October arrived quietly. Cold mornings. Gray skies. Leaves falling across empty sidewalks. Sarah Mitchell always thought autumn felt honest. Spring pretended things stayed beautiful forever. Summer distracted people. Winter hid everything beneath snow. Autumn told the truth. Nothing lasts. Not warmth. Not youth. Not people. 40 years old. Single mother. Nurse. Homeowner. Responsible. Strong. Always strong. Life moved carefully now. Predictably. Safe. No surprises. No risks. No impossible dreams. She woke every morning at 5:12. Made coffee. Worked long shifts. Helped Noah prepare for adulthood. Paid bills. Folded laundry. Answered emails. Survived. Surviving had become routine. Maybe too routine. Mom. Sarah looked up. Noah stood near the kitchen doorway. 16 now. Tall. Quiet. Sharp-eyed. Too observant. You ever clean the attic? He asked. Why? It's terrifying. She laughed softly. No. You should. I'll survive. No. He smiled. I think there are ghosts. There are definitely spiders. Worse. Impossible. Mom. What? There's a box up there with your name. Something inside her shifted. Small. Barely noticeable. What kind of box? I don't know. Old stuff probably. Maybe. She returned to making coffee. Conversation over. Or supposed to be. But strange things happen sometimes. Small moments stay. Tiny details linger. Like life quietly tapping your shoulder. Pay attention. Saturday afternoon. Rain outside. Cold wind against windows. No hospital shift. No errands. No excuses. Sarah climbed into the attic. Dust covered everything. Old holiday decorations. Noah's childhood toys. Forgotten furniture. Boxes. Too many boxes. Funny. How people save pieces of lives they no longer live. She moved carefully. Opening containers. Photographs. School papers. Old birthday cards. Memories. Tiny pieces of time. Then. She saw it. Brown cardboard. Faded handwriting. Sarah, college. Her chest tightened slightly. No reason. No explanation. Just feeling. She pulled the box carefully toward her. Dust rising softly. Hands suddenly colder. Strange. Very strange. Inside. College notebooks. Textbooks. Photographs. Movie tickets. A campus ID card. 20-year-old Sarah smiling back at her. Young. Bright. Hopeful. She barely recognized herself. Life changes faces slowly. Then all at once. A small smile crossed her lips. God. She'd forgotten that girl. Or maybe. She stopped looking. She moved papers carefully. Then froze. Completely. A grey hoodie. Folded neatly. Old. Worn. Familiar. No. No way. Her breathing slowed instantly. Hands trembling slightly. Impossible. She picked it up carefully. Soft fabric. Worn sleeves. Memory arriving instantly. Fast. Sharp. Overwhelming. Ethan. She closed her eyes. No. Not now. Not after all these years. She remembered immediately. Winter. Campus library. Snow outside. Him giving her his hoodie because she forgot her coat. You'll freeze. I'm fine. Sarah. Ethan. Wear it. God. She could hear him. 20 years disappeared instantly. Just like that. Her chest felt strange. Heavy. Warm. Painful. Human memory is cruel sometimes. People disappear. Time passes. Life changes. But certain feelings. Stay exactly where you left them. Buried. Waiting. She should have put it away. Closed the box. Moved on. Instead, she kept looking. Photographs. Movie stubs. A cheap silver bracelet. Then, an envelope. Yellowed edges. Unopened. Her name written carefully. Handwriting she recognized immediately. Ethan. No. 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 Hands shaking now. Actually shaking. She stared at it. Heart beating harder. Impossible. Completely impossible. Because she remembered. The train station. Rain. Goodbye. Pain. Gone. Finished. 20 years. 20 years. Why? Why was this here? Her fingers moved carefully. Slowly. Almost afraid. The envelope opened softly. Paper unfolded. Breathing stopped. Words. His words. Frozen in time. Waiting. 20 years. Waiting 20 years. Her eyes moved slowly across the page. Sarah. If you're reading this. She stopped. Breathing harder. Heart louder. No. 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 Rain tapped softly against the roof. Wind moved outside. Time stood perfectly still. 20 years old again. Standing beside someone she loved. Someone she lost. Someone she never really forgot. Tears filled her eyes immediately. Fast. Unavoidable. One line. Just one. And suddenly, 40-year-old Sarah Mitchell sat alone inside an attic. Feeling 20 years old again. And for the first time in years. She cried. Not quietly. Not carefully. Completely. Because sometimes, life waits years before reopening a wound. And sometimes, healing begins exactly there. Sarah didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of her bed long after midnight, the attic box still open beside her like it refused to be closed again. The house was quiet. Noah asleep upstairs. Rain fading into a soft drizzle outside. Everything in her life looked normal. But nothing inside her was. Her fingers still held the letter. As if letting go would make it disappear again. 20 years. 20 years of silence. And suddenly, one envelope had brought everything back. She read it again. Slower this time. Not because she didn't understand it. Because she did. Too well. Sarah. If you're reading this, it means I didn't find the courage to stop you that day. Or maybe I did, and life still pulled us apart anyway. I stood at that train station longer than I should have. I watched you leave. And I told myself I was doing the right thing. Her chest tightened. She remembered that day differently. Or at least she thought she did. Rain. Train doors. Goodbye. But now. His version of it was here. Alive again. I got the Nashville offer the same week your father got sick. I didn't tell you everything because I was scared you'd think I was choosing music over you. But the truth is, I didn't want to leave you. I wanted to stay. Sarah stopped reading. Her hands shook slightly. No. That wasn't how she remembered it. He left because he wanted his dream. Because he chose music. Because she stayed behind. That's what she believed. That's what she lived with. That's what shaped her decisions for years. But now, the foundation cracked. She forced herself to continue. When your father was in the hospital, I saw what responsibility was doing to you. You were breaking, Sarah. And I didn't know how to save you without pulling you away from everything you were trying to hold together. So I did the only thing I thought love meant at the time. I stepped back. Her breath caught. Stepped back. Not left. Not abandoned. Stepped back. Different words. Same ending. Different meaning. Same pain. I thought if I left you free, you could choose your life without feeling trapped by me. But I never stopped loving you. Not once. Tears fell again. Quietly now. Not the storm from before. Something heavier. Slower. More dangerous. Regret. Because regret doesn't scream. It settles. Sarah stood and walked to the window. The world outside was still. Streetlights glowing faintly through mist. Everything looked unchanged. But inside her, something was collapsing. Not her present. Her past. The story she had told herself for 20 years. Ethan didn't leave because he didn't love her. He left because he thought he was helping her. And she stayed behind believing she had been chosen second. When in reality, no one had been chosen at all. Everyone was just trying to survive life at the same time. And failing to hold each other while doing it. She returned to the letter. Her eyes burning now. The final lines waited. I don't know where life took you. But I hope you didn't stop becoming yourself because of me. And if you ever wonder if I regret loving you, I don't. Even this ending was worth it. Ethan. Silence. Deep silence. The kind that fills every corner of a room. Sarah pressed the letter to her chest. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel angry. She didn't feel abandoned. She didn't feel strong. She felt something worse. Human. Because the truth was simple now. She hadn't just lost Ethan. She had built her entire life around a version of the past that wasn't fully true. And somewhere inside that truth was a question she had never allowed herself to ask. What if she had misunderstood everything? The letter slipped from her hands, falling softly to the floor. And in that moment, Sarah Mitchell realized something terrifying. Her life hadn't been defined by what happened. It had been defined by what she believed happened. And now, that belief was breaking open. Morning came too fast. Sarah hadn't moved from the bed for hours. The letter still lay on the floor beside her like it was too heavy to lift again. Her body felt awake. Her mind didn't. Noah's alarm rang upstairs. Shower running. Normal life continuing without permission. That was the strange thing about pain. The world didn't pause for it. Only people did. Mom. Noah called down later. Yeah. You're not going to work. Silence. She looked at the clock. 7:38 a.m. She should be leaving already. She usually was. But today, everything inside her felt misaligned. I'll go late, she said. You okay? The same question. Again. Always. I'm fine, she replied automatically. But the words felt empty now. Louder than truth. Less believable than silence. Noah studied her for a second. He didn't push. Just nodded. And left. Sarah sat alone in the kitchen for a long time. Coffee untouched. Phone untouched. Life untouched. Only the letter. Still in her mind. I stepped back. Not left. Stepped back. The words kept repeating. Changing everything. She had built 20 years on a story. A story that gave her closure. A story that explained loss. A story that made sense of pain. But now, sense was gone. And something else was growing in its place. Curiosity. Dangerous thing. Curiosity doesn't let you stay still. By noon, she had done something she hadn't done in years. She searched Ethan Cole, Nashville musician. Her hands hesitated before pressing enter. The screen loaded slowly. Too slowly. Then. Results. A small profile. Music page. Recent interviews. Photos. Older now. But still him. Still those eyes. Still that presence. Different haircut. Different life. But the same person she once knew more deeply than anyone else. Her heart pounded. He was real. Still real. Still somewhere in the world. Still existing while she had been building a life around his absence. And then, one more detail changed everything. Upcoming performance. Chicago, live acoustic session, next month. Chicago. Not far. Not impossible. Close enough that the idea of never started to feel less certain. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then, without fully understanding why, she clicked book ticket. The confirmation email arrived minutes later. She stared at it for a long time. One way of thinking would call it impulsive. Another would call it insane. Another would call it healing. She didn't know which one was true. She only knew one thing. She couldn't keep living inside a story that might not be real anymore. That evening, Noah found her sitting at the table again. Laptop closed. Face calm. Too calm. You working? He asked. No. You're home early? Yes. He nodded slowly. Something in her expression made him pause. You sure you're okay? She looked at him. Really looked. Her son. 15 years of her life. Everything she built after loss, after struggle, after survival. I need to go somewhere, she said quietly. Where? Chicago. He frowned slightly. For work. No. Then why? She hesitated. Because the truth was too large to say simply. Because it didn't fit into normal sentences. Because I need to understand something, she finally said. Noah studied her for a long moment. Then nodded. Okay, he said. Just that. No argument. No confusion. Just acceptance. But before he turned away. Mom. Yeah. Make sure it's worth it. The words stayed in the air longer than expected. Then he left. That night, Sarah packed a small bag. Not much. Just enough. As if anything more would make it feel permanent. But it already felt permanent. Even before she left. At 2:17 a.m., she stood in her bedroom. Ticket in her phone. Heart heavy. Mind louder than ever. 20 years of silence had ended with a letter. And now, that letter had started something she couldn't stop. She looked out the window one last time. The street was still. The world was still. But inside her, nothing was. And for the first time in 2 decades, Sarah Mitchell wasn't running from the past. She was going toward it. The bus left before sunrise. Grey light barely touched the streets when Sarah Mitchell stepped onto it, carrying a small bag and a life that suddenly felt too heavy to name. She chose the window seat without thinking. Old habit. Control. Watching instead of being watched. The engine started with a deep, tired sound. And then, movement. Slow at first. Then steady. Then irreversible. She was leaving. Not running. Not escaping. Just moving. For the first time in years, she wasn't going to work. Wasn't going home. Wasn't going to be needed anywhere. That thought felt strangely unfamiliar. Like standing without gravity. The city faded behind her. Buildings softened into silhouettes. Streets turned into lines. Lines turned into distance. And distance turned into silence. Sarah pressed her forehead against the window. Reflections stared back at her. 40 years old. Tired eyes. Familiar face. But underneath it, something younger was waking up. Not physically. Emotionally. A version of her she had buried so deeply she forgot it still existed. 20-year-old Sarah. The girl who once believed in impossible things. The girl who once loved Ethan Cole without hesitation. The girl who once thought life would follow feeling. Not fear. Hours passed. The bus crossed state lines. Small towns appeared and disappeared like passing thoughts. Gas stations. Fields. Forests. Highways stretching endlessly forward. A life in motion. Sarah didn't sleep. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him. Not as he was now, but as he had been. Train station. Rain. A goodbye she had carried like truth for 20 years. But now that truth felt unstable. Like standing on ground that was no longer solid. At a rest stop somewhere in Pennsylvania, she stepped outside. Cold air hit her face instantly. Sharp. Real. The sky was pale. Clouds moving slowly. People around her talked. Laughed. Lived. She stood still. Phone in hand. Staring at the concert details again. Chicago. Tomorrow night. Ethan Cole. Real. Alive. Close. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then, she saw something she hadn't expected. A message notification. Unknown number. No contact saved. Just text. If you're coming. I hope you still like coffee. E. Her breath stopped. For a second. Everything else disappeared. Wind. Noise. People. Time. Ethan. He knew. Somehow. He knew. Her fingers trembled slightly. She didn't reply. Couldn't. Not yet. Because suddenly. This wasn't just a search anymore. It was mutual. The bus rolled into Chicago just before nightfall. The city rose around her like something alive. Tall buildings. Lights flickering on. Traffic moving like veins. Everything felt bigger. Faster. Louder. Sarah stepped off the bus slowly. Heart pounding. The air felt different here. Like possibility had weight. She checked the concert venue address. Only a few blocks away. Each step she took felt heavier than the last. Not because she was tired. Because she was approaching something she had avoided for 20 years. Outside the venue, people gathered. Fans. Music lovers. Voices mixing. Excitement in the air. Sarah stood slightly apart. Observing. Always observing. A woman in her 40s among younger crowds, holding something no one could see. History. Memory. Fear. The doors opened. People moved inside. She didn't immediately follow. Not because she couldn't. Because something inside her paused. A question. Simple. Brutal. What if he isn't who you remember? And worse. What if he is? Inside, the lights dimmed. The stage was empty. A guitar rested on a stand. A microphone waited. Everything felt quiet before impact. Sarah found a seat near the back. Hands clasped tightly, breathing uneven. And then, applause began before he even appeared. Someone stepped onto the stage. Silhouette first. Then light. Then detail. And suddenly, time broke. Ethan Cole stood there. Older. Stronger. Real. Not a memory. Not a ghost. A man who had lived 20 years without her. Her chest tightened instantly. He adjusted the microphone. Looked up. And for a moment, the entire room disappeared. Because his eyes found hers. Immediately. Like no time had passed at all. Silence between heartbeats. Recognition without words. And then, a smile. Small. Soft. Painfully familiar. "Hey," he said into the microphone. One word. And Sarah felt her entire life shift again. Not backward. Not forward. But somewhere she couldn't name yet. And she realized. The past wasn't over. It had only been waiting. The applause faded slowly. But Sarah couldn't hear it anymore. Not properly. Everything in her world had narrowed to a single point. Ethan Cole standing under stage lights. Looking at her like 20 years had been a pause instead of a lifetime. He adjusted the microphone again, but his eyes didn't leave her. And for the first time since she arrived, Sarah understood something terrifying. She hadn't come here just to see him. She had come here to face the version of herself she abandoned at 20. The concert continued. Music flowed through the room. Soft. Honest. Unpolished in a way that felt intentional. Ethan played like someone who had lived every lyric. Not performed them. Lived them. Sarah barely moved. Each song felt like it was written between two lives. Between then and now. Between what was lost and what survived. And every so often, he looked at her. Not long. Not obvious. But enough. Enough to keep her from disappearing into the crowd. After the final song, the room erupted again. Lights brightened. People stood. Chairs scraped. Noise returned. Life returned. But Sarah stayed seated. Frozen in something quieter than fear. Ethan stepped back from the microphone. Took a breath. And then, left the stage. She didn't know how long she sat there. Minutes. Maybe more. People passed her. Voices blurred. Until finally, a staff member tapped her gently. You okay?" She nodded automatically. Yes. But it didn't feel true. Nothing felt fully true anymore. Outside, the night air was colder. She stepped out slowly. Chicago lights stretched endlessly. Cars moved. People laughed. Life continued like it always did. Ethan was waiting near the side entrance. Not dramatic. Not staged. Just standing there. Hands in pockets. Same presence. Different time. When he saw her, he exhaled softly. Like he had been holding his breath for 20 years too. You came, he said. Sarah swallowed. I didn't know if I would. He nodded. I wasn't sure you would either. Silence. Not uncomfortable. Not empty. Full. Too full. I got your message, she said quietly. He gave a small, almost embarrassed smile. Yeah. I wasn't sure if I should send it. Why did you? Ethan looked down for a moment. Then back at her. Because I spent 20 years wondering if I did the right thing. Her breath caught slightly. I thought you left, she said. I thought I had to, he replied. That sentence hit harder than she expected. Because it wasn't anger. It wasn't blame. It was misunderstanding. Two lives shaped by a version of truth neither fully questioned. You never came back, she said. You never asked me to, he answered gently. That silence. It changed something between them. Not healing. Not breaking. Rewriting. I read your letter, she said finally. His expression softened. I hoped you would. Why didn't you send it? Ethan let out a small breath. I started it 100 times. He looked away. Every time I finished, I thought, if I send this, I'll ruin whatever life you built. Sarah shook her head slightly. My life didn't feel built, she said. That surprised him. She saw it. I thought it did, he admitted. Another silence. He stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough. Sarah. Hearing her name from him again felt like a physical thing. Yes. I don't know what this moment is supposed to be. She nodded slowly. Me neither. Because the truth was simple now. Too simple. They were not the same people who stood at that train station. And life does not return people to the exact moment they left. It changes them. Quietly. Completely. Irreversibly. Ethan looked at her carefully. I'm glad you came, he said. I am too, she replied honestly. And she meant it. But not for the reason she once would have expected. Not for reunion. Not for undoing. For understanding. For closure that finally had shape. For a story that could finally stop hurting in the dark. I should probably go, Sarah said softly. Ethan nodded once. I understand. Neither of them moved immediately. Because endings don't always come with urgency. Sometimes they arrive like this. Quiet. Clear. Unavoidable. Sarah took a step back. Then another. And stopped. She looked at him one last time. Not the boy she loved at 20. Not the memory she carried. But the man who had lived a full life without her. And somehow, she felt no anger. Only something softer. Grief. And peace. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. No, he replied. We did the best we could with what we were. That landed differently. Heavier. Kinder. True. Sarah turned away. This time, there was no train. No rain. No dramatic braking. Only footsteps on pavement. A woman walking forward with her past no longer chasing her. Not because it disappeared. But because she finally understood it. She reached the corner of the street and paused. Looked back once. Ethan was still there. Watching. Not waiting. Just present. And then she nodded slightly. A goodbye that didn't need words. He returned it. And that was it. Sarah walked into the Chicago night. And for the first time in 20 years. The past stopped pulling her backward. Not because it was resolved. But because she finally stopped needing it to be. She had not gotten her old love back. But she had something quieter. Something real. Herself.